Hello, my name's Richard Newman, and here I am in Future Now, and I want to tell you a story, not about Future Now, but about somebody that I interviewed back in the day. And this story is about this. It's about Tubular Bells. You may well have heard of it. Album by Mike Oldfield. And in 1993, I interviewed the three principal people that made that legendary album, which was Simon Hayworth, Tom Newman and Mike Oldfield. Tom Newman was the engineer, Simon Hayworth was his assistant, and obviously Mike Oldfield was the artist. And there's a weird parallel between that situation and the one we're in here in Future Now, right, which I will now tell you about. I met Jazz because I live in Cambridgeshire, and one day we came across one another, and he's found out what I did, and he told me the story of this project. And it was very impressive because the intensity of how he spoke to me about this album really resonated with me. And then I started to hear the music. And I've worked in recording studios for 5 decades. I started when I was 17 in London. And it's very rare that you come across somebody like Jazz. He's a brilliant guitar player, a great songwriter, and I like prog rock, and not necessarily his generation. I'm a kind of Rush person from back in the day. So, you know, Tom Sawyer rules, that's my opinion. But anyway, so I realised straight away, because I've been very lucky to work with some brilliant musicians across 50 years, and we got to know each other, and he told me about many of the things he's had to go through, which I've heard from other musicians. He had just had to believe in what he was doing, just like Mike Oldfield did. I mean, Mike Oldfield was refused by every major record company. They said, in fact, one guy said, you know, it's great you're doing what you're doing, Mike. It's really terrific that you're doing it. But, you know, if you put this music out, nobody would buy it. Nobody would buy what you're doing, this instrumental album. I mean, these drums on it, etc., etc. And Jazz's intensity resonated with that situation. So here we are, I've been transported, it feels like, you know, on a spaceship, you know, interdimensional spaceship to Future Now, where utopia awaits. So I'm going to talk to Jazz, and I'm also going to talk to Charlie. So they're going to come up and sit here, and we're going to get into it. Right, this is Future Now. I'm not Future Now. I'm an alien. They picked me up. A hitchhiker's guide to Galaxy. I'm a hitchhiker. And I came to Future Now because I thought, oh, this is where utopia is. I'm looking for it all over the place. Anyway, so when did this start? How many years ago? Here we are, you know, we're in summer, it's Cambridgeshire, and it's 2019, you know, so when did this start? I mean, when did you start the machinations of your brain, you know?
Well, I started this project in 2014.
Right.
I was going through some tough times, and I had some time available to me, and I just started writing the bulk of this project. And it just kind of went from there. Me and Charlie have been working together for coming up to 10 plus years now. And yeah, we've just pushed forth, especially with this one, because the level of musicianship from this album has just kind of far surpasses anything we've done in the past.
Yeah, we definitely leveled up this time.
Yeah. So my perception of this, having got into it, is, you know, this is a sort of metaphor. Pay attention, everybody. I look at this like, you know, there's an onion. It's like you did the back to front, you were the middle of the onion, and the layers grew out of the onion until it became a full-size onion. So you were in the middle, and you had layers as you go. So you had Charlie, and you had the vocalist, etc., etc. That seems to me. That's so we can understand this. It's a very cosmic people, you know. I've got to translate, you know. Would you get a South Londoner from Battersea near the Battersea to translate? Well, perfect, right. Okay, so onion going out. So each time as you go along, people are coming in, maybe making contributions and then moving on, etc. But you're the consistent one. And then you two hook up. Now, this guy's guilty of something. You've been working in studios though, haven't you? So tell me about that.
I haven't actually. I've been working in home studios. I go back and forth between two studios, but I've never been in a proper.
I've never been
in a proper.
So you're like, I mean,
home learn all of it.
Oh look, he's one of your own, all you people out there with Logic and Pro Tools, and he's one of yours. And me, I'm like.
But it works. It works. So
it works, right?
And
So
it's comfortable.
So, how did you feel, and when you were going on, like, I get the impression you were getting, like, pin the tail on the donkey, right? You were getting nearer and nearer to the perfection thing, nearer and nearer. Stop going there, left a bit, right a bit. Was it like that? Was it that kind of feeling?
Absolutely. I mean, I first was introduced to Charlie via one of his bands called Flesh and Burns back in 2009, I think it was.
Cool band.
Yeah, and I kind of came in as a lead guitarist, and the kind of friendship just kind of evolved from that point. The musicianship, we quickly gelled as musicians, and we started writing together. Formed another band past Flesh and Burns called Equators, and that was kind of like the next level and then from that it's kind of evolved over the ages.
So did you kind of like, you know, put it in a sort of mythological thing? I'm a geek, I'm an original one. Sorry, you people that came later, you know, Star Trek, I was like 19. In fact, here's an interesting thing. It's the 50th anniversary of the launching of the Apollo to the moon, but in this country, in that week was the first time Star Trek was ever shown on national television in colour. And I talked to some people, like my son, he's a scientist and everything, he worked with people at NASA and everything. One of the guys said, you know, we'd gone up to the moon with Apollo, he said, and then this television programme on when it's like warp drive and beam it up and everything, he said, and we looked out of date because of Star Trek. But anyway, going to that kind of thing, did you kind of believe that you were on some sort of magical ley line or energy line through time, and that you were battling to get to it? That was you with yourself. You had this instinct, like I said, growing the layers of the onion out.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I suppose you were always, when you locked onto him, then that centre of the onion got a bit bigger. With the two of you, and then you needed another layer, like a singer, and maybe a keyboard player, and then that's added. But basically, the onion's still the onion; it's just getting bigger, and it's your onion, it's your vision, and then it's you jointly your vision. Because for me, when I listen to this incredible album, you know, the music of it, it sounds like that's what's gone on. You know, with the changes, you get because you can. The chords are all that. This guy's got an amazing guitar sound. He's technically very, very clever. The sounds of these things are, you know, world class, and I should know, right? So that's great, but it sounds to me like you hear the evolution because the energy changes slightly with the singer comes, and then I believe a keyboard player, and it changes it slightly. Yeah, that's what's going on.
It's just a constant evolution of what we now know as future.
So now, people out there, you know, who are of contemporary generations, you know, back in the day, all this kind of evolution went on in recording studios. They had recording studios, big ones. I've worked in a huge number of them. But they also then started having demo studios, which was where you went to work all this stuff out that you've been working at before you were going to studio. It was going to cost you, even in those days, £1,000 a day. So they didn't want you going in and saying, oh, I have another idea. Don't go to this demo studio, they pay for that. So this is what you've done. This is like your demo studio thing. And then, obviously, you've made the main album. and you're both technically really very, very good at it. But then there's a huge sort of mythological feeling to it, you know, that you can relate to any of the music that's like that. I mean, Rush is a, you know, good one. Dark Side of the Moon, you know, if you think about what evolved there was Sid Barrett. They came from Cambridge, and they were kind of like hippie band, really. They did, you know, CMD playing everything, and unfortunately Sid dropped out because he wasn't very well, etc. And there was a famous meeting in Nick Mason's kitchen where Roger Waters, it was the next album was going to come. Roger Waters said, I'm done with this sound of the hippie stuff. We're going to do something completely different. I want to write stuff about what upsets you. For me, it's the planet's log. How are you getting on down there? so he said, well, I wanted to write about things that, you know, we find difficult, you know, like about life. And that's how that was conceived. And to me, in a sense, you do run through those emotions on Future Now.
Absolutely.
You run through it. For me, I do. I sit there and fantasise like crazy, and I'm really good at fantasising. You know, I'm like, think, okay, which part of the universe should I go to now? I don't know. Chuck comes in. No. Oh yeah, no, I'm going over here. No, I'm going over there. So it's got that, you know, that rare quality where you can own the soundtrack and use it for yourself. You know, you can actually use it for your life. You can use it in yourself, which I, you know, feel was one of the things that makes it so accessible. The other side of it, of course, which is really quite interesting, because you've never actually played live, have you? As a band as this, you've never gone out there.
Not as this band. No. We have together in previous.
Yeah, but not as Future Now.
Not yet.
I find that very exciting that we're at the beginning here. You know, so tell your friends. You know, trust me, trust Richard. You know, we're at the beginning of something that's really special. They've never played live. It's coming, but they haven't done that. So when you watch other bands, I mean, there's that T-shirt that you've got on.
Neil Morse,
one of his favourite people. So you watch them, and then you say, you come phone me out and say, Rich, you got to go on YouTube, listen to Neil Morse as well. I love this band. So when you see those bands up on stage, right, and you haven't done that yet, what are you thinking? You know, what's your perception of, you know, of how you feel that, you know, you would present yourself live?
To be fair, I mean, you know, people like Neil Morse, you know, they've got such a good thing going, the whole conceptual thing, obviously prog rock, or they call it heavenly metal.
Yeah, because they're Christian, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. And at the end of the day, they put on such a show, you know, they have fun with it, you know, they make it inviting to everybody who comes to see them, as it should be. With us, the possibilities are endless, you know. You know, I want to bring as much energy through the performance as well as the music gives out to the audience. Which is in fact what prog rock's about. You know, I go and see Rush, and that's what they do. Yeah, absolutely. They'll blow your head off. You know, that's every time. That's a similar thing to it. What I find interesting, very interesting from a musical point of view, is, you know, with real amazing virtuoso guitarists like Jazzes, you often find them standing to one side. It's like the band and then they have their thing. You two guys are very integrated. You don't get that. It's very exciting. It's like, you know, the lads of the young are going back and forward. There's no sort of course there are some amazing solos, but it's no grandstanding. It's not like that. You're all about the total sound, aren't you? And that's why the power of this music comes, because the sound of it as a totality, right, is hugely powerful, and I think that's a major factor in it, because, you know, you're always there with him and he's always there with you, and it's like that kind of thing. So going forward, it's typical of this guy, right? So he's it's just about to come out online and everything, and there it is, and he's calls me out and says, oh, well, we're already halfway through the next album, you know. So it's basically, I feel like I'm on a Starship Enterprise, right? And we're always with Jazz out in front of the fleet, you know. Oh, we're now to the next album. Oh yeah, but there's all the people in Future Now. What are they going to do? And Jazz says, oh, well, they just have to catch up, you know. get a grip and catch up, etc., etc. And the scout that kind of scouts everything out before anyone else has had a chance to kind of see what's out there.
So I mean, there's a lot of, you know, programming going on and all kinds of jiggery pokery that you're very good at. So How do you go about doing that? I mean, you have an initial idea and then you sort of build sounds around it, etc. What's your way forward when you've got a new track?
Well,
you just played me something on the way over here.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of the second album, which no one's heard yet. But
stand by.
Yeah, very much so. But no, this is quite a unique project because I've taken the liberty of writing sci-fi action adventure, which is all conceptual, obviously. A book, yeah.
It's a book. You may have heard of them. They're in libraries.
And hopefully soon to be an e-book as well.
And an e-book.
Just to keep up with the.
So you just did it then. Look, did you see what he just did then? He said a book, and I went, oh, no, that. And then he shot at Walk Factor 9 ahead, and then an e-book. So I went, so
hang on a minute.
Hang on a minute. Oh, boom. That's it. Okay, so then an e-book, etc. I've got one of those. It's an actual book. It's on Apple Books. It's on Kindle. Etc. I've got one of those.
Final product.
Like that, you see. Funny that this should have gone through the dimensions and landed right in the middle of these people. It's very good. But there are similarities. But you've got to know who's talking to you. I mean, there's loads of people on YouTube, aren't there? You know, I could have been anybody, but I'm not. Right, I'm that person. So then, in a sense, you're always creating. You never got off the bus, do you?
No.
So, if a metaphor, if the bus is like a touring bus that a band's on, but they're in a studio bus, they never actually bloody won't get off it.
No, season pass for life.
Yeah, that's it. It's a season pass for life. It's just, once an album's, you say it's finished, you're already on to the next one. So it's a continuous thing.
Absolutely.
Which I'm sure I could persuade them, on behalf of you people, to start giving little teasers so that you can keep up. This is my idea, because I need that as well. So that's another thing. So when you dream of where you could be, and we all do that, you see yourself on the stage in Rio with a huge following you didn't even know you had, like Rush. That's a funny story. That story is, I guess they go down there for a break or something, and they realise. So when you see yourself going in progression, I mean, do you fantasise as much about playing the live thing as you do about the albums? And I mean, or does it scare the life out of you?
No, it doesn't actually. I welcome it with open arms.
That's how loud the speaker is on my phone.
No, it's also the 10 o'clock news.
So, with the live part of it, does that incredible imagination that you've got, are you now applying that to a live set? Because God knows what's going to watch out.
What are you going to bring? Yeah.
What are you going to bring? I mean,
in my mind, I've already worked out the lighting. I've already got like the whole visual concept of what we can bring, what we can, give to people. We'd like to just be one of those prog rock metal bands that is proud to come from the UK, that is a symbol of hope for anyone that doesn't already, who's struggling to get their bands together. Trust me when I say this, if we can do it, anybody can do it.
I completely disagree with that. That's this has got to stay in this video. It's ridiculous, right? I'll tell you the truth about this is. So here I am, we're in the UK, we're in Cambridgeshire. This country is known all over the world musically for this thing. The guitarists that have come out of this country, right? Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, Mick Taylor, Mark Knopfler. This goes on and on and on. The guitarist has come out of here. And this is another one. Of those guitarists. So, we're all about being fans. I'm a huge fan of American music, and I love Lemmy. I mean, Lemmy was my guy. Ace of Spades, and I used to go to the Stonehenge festival, free festival, when you went down there and basically you could walk on the stones, and they used to play down there back in the day when I was younger, etc. And I used to go to Glastonbury when it was basically a kind of political hippie festival, and really all the bat and bomb and all the rest of it, right at the beginning of it. And these things evolve, but the thing is, there's many people in the world that do great music. I mean, obviously Americans got their own culture. You know, they got rap, they got Motown, they got the amazing country music stuff, etc. You've got Bob Dylan, they got the Crosby, Stills and Nash, all those people, the Eagles. Over here, we got rock bands. Led Zeppelin, right? We got the Who. You know, so we are rock orientated, and really our culture doesn't really lend itself to streaming. I mean, and that's what's happening in the industry. You know, I'm supposed to be an expert, so I'm giving you the latest news. There's a split, really. So that streaming has become primarily a pop medium. You know, you can Taylor Swift, you can pay your £9.99, you can listen to everything. You can also hear back catalogue. But for rock musicians and that's not how the audience wants to consume that music. That's not the way they want to do it, right? And so therefore, fortunately, it's split. Now, a very interesting thing happened, you may have heard about it, but there's a big chain of record shops, music shops called HMV that's recently bought out by a Canadian. It's got loads of shops in Canada, and immediately bought it out. His attitude is that he wanted to, feature vinyl, right, in all those shops. You go in there and get, because vinyl has now become the chosen medium to display rock art on. Rock art is Tommy, Quadrophenia, Velvet Underground, just go down the list. Do you understand? Talking Heads, REM. So there's that element of it. Talking about rock bands, if you listen to Michael Eavis, who runs Glastonbury, his daughter has often said, we need rock bands to even have this festival happen, right? So if any of you know somebody who knows a girlfriend who's got a boyfriend who actually serves a Coca-Cola at the Glastonbury Festival and knows Michael Eavis, I would go and tell him about this band, right? Or I have to do it myself. One or the other. Okay, so basically, what I think everyone's going to be interested in, in every way, and it's funny enough, it's the way that it helps, people to rationalise and spread things around. So, what I want to know from both of you is, what bands do you look up to? What people have inspired you?
I'll let you go first on that one.
Well, from learning the drums, my first favourite drummer was Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater. He was the first drummer that I looked at for that technical style, and then I just became fascinated with it, and I was at school learning his drum tracks over and over.
But other than the drum and everything, what bands?
What bands?
Yeah.
I like heavy bands. I like Dream Theater. I like Rush. I like old prog. Like Yes. That sort of thing. A lot of my songwriting skills come from that sort of.
So see what I'm doing? So you say, all you people that love those bands, look, he's a member of the family. If you're Rush followers, he's a family. If you're that's it. So this is how we build this, because we, you two people out there, we in these days have huge amount of power. We can, if we choose to, create a band, right, for the world, just by simply, if you're a fan of prog music or whatever, or bands that they like, spreading the word, networking it to other people. We're all A&R people, we've all got a job to do, because we can now control the music that comes through the future. I mean, my generation, sorry about the pun, is the Who, etc., etc., but we're constantly needing to bring new people into this thing, because otherwise, they'll wipe out our culture, right, and we just have to sit over in England and talk about bloody Brexit till the cows come home or something like that. So this is what we can do by being on YouTube. So in listening to this, and you will have already heard some tracks in this interview up until what I'm talking to you now that they're going to put in and everything and all kinds of other stuff. Why did I agree to do this? One is because I've always tried to encourage and help young musicians that have got this kind of talent, but mostly because I believe that excuse my French, a lot of what goes on in this world at the moment is shit and it's bad, and my generation did try to do stuff about it, talk about it, but in the end it's up to us. So basically, because that's the way I felt all my life, and there's these guys, there should be a pathway through for new bands to come through where they don't have to go to them directly to major companies, they don't have to be sucked in to being in an environment which is basically a pop environment, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, etc. Nothing wrong with that. Love pop music, love Motown, all those great people, and look at Adele. I mean, wonderful, incredible. Even Ed Sheeran, who, by the way, I used to watch playing down the road in Cambridge with his little boogie box as a busker, right? And I remember listening to people talking to him, and he even then thought he was going to be enormous, but he was. But can you imagine Ed Sheeran and somebody come up to him in Cambridge, he's playing as a busker, and they say, "Oh, it's interesting. So, how do you see your future?" And he said, "Well, to be honest, I'm gonna sell out Wembley Football Stadium for 4 or 5 nights running just with this boogie box." And everything. I thought, this kid's mad. In fact, he did it, right? Okay, so therefore, the political part of this is it's standing up for our culture, standing up for the music that everybody loves, and obviously music is a soundtrack to your life, whoever you are. You've got your own soundtrack, but we need to embrace this situation, and Facebook and all the other social media sites, and especially YouTube, is a way of doing that. So if you like what you hear, and I'm a crazy interviewer, everybody says if I didn't do what I've done, I could have been a stand-up comedian. I'd get one of my son thinks that. So this is me doing my stuff. But at the end of the day, what I hope is that if you like some of what you've heard, or you like what these guys are, that you will act as ambassadors for them and go out and spread the word, and eventually maybe you'll turn up at a gig and say, "Oh, when I first saw that video," etc. That's how everybody gets through. When Rush started out, watched documentaries, people around them said we couldn't give Rush away. Nobody wanted Rush, we couldn't give Rush away. Rush ended up, right, with one of the biggest followings of a band, in the world. Their fans are so loyal, etc., etc. I mean, wouldn't it be really exciting to be part of that process for this band from the beginning? Wouldn't that be something? That would be a good thing to do. So I'm just gonna end this interview, my bit of it, which is hopefully I've amused you, etc., etc. And you're seeing all the stuff, etc., etc. But I'm going to leave you with this. In the end, these guys are not responsible for the music that that allowing us to go and have this music any more than Led Zeppelin are, or The Who, or Dire Straits, or Stormzy, or anybody is. It's up to all of us and up to you. So if you like what you hear, spread the word. It's nice to talk to you.
If you would like to know more about the making of Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells by Richard Newman, follow the links in the description below.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you heard, you can listen to the full album on the channel, and if you want to support us, you can purchase a copy. Links in the description. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a like and subscribe, it really helps support the channel.